I want to go over ways to absolutely dominate your space and whatever you're trying to do. Whether that's becoming amazing at a video game, whether that's starting an online business, or becoming a musician. There's a handful of keys that need to be in place if you absolutely want to become the best at whatever you're trying to do. Overall, these are good. These are just good keys in general to just follow overall. And I was really excited when I kind of learned about them. So the first one is keep learning stuff. A lot of people, when they get to college and they graduate, they think they know everything and they become very close-minded. This also will happen when you're not at a rock bottom in life. You're very comfortable. So what your brain's going to do is tell you that you don't need to learn anything. You don't need to change, right? You don't need to change because everything's comfortable. Your brain will sabotage you, and it does a ton of little things like this to hold you back. And it basically tricks you until you can kind of get it on your team, sadly. So the way to really override this is to constantly keep an open mind and keep learning. Especially if it's in the field that you want to excel in. So, one of the keys to the universe, or rather creating your universe, and it goes along with keep learning. Keep learning is kind of like the frosting on the cake of this key. And that is speed of implementation. So when you learn something, apply it right away. So maybe it's this video that you're watching right now. Maybe it's something that you saw earlier today on a blog post. Either way, anything that you digest, especially if it's like self-help stuff, take massive fucking action on it right away. Speed of implementation is the key. Alright, so this one's kind of a triple threat. This next key, persistence. Persistence is like the mantra that you need to be constantly operating on all the time. No matter what your goal is, every single day you need to be moving forward towards that goal. Even if it's a baby step, just move forward, okay? Move forward, even if it's like shooting an email, okay? Just like take one action every day to move you towards your goal. So persistence is literally like the secret sauce, guys. Being patient, and just playing the long game. Be persistent. It's not like that overnight change. It's really about the persistent steps that you take on a consistent basis. Okay? Because when you're persistent, right, and you're consistent with your persistency, it doesn't even make sense, but when you're persistent and you're consistent, so like day by day, let's say you're trying to get better becoming social, and you decide to go out on the street one day and just say hi to a random stranger or ask for the time, and you just do that every day. It's not going to work. You're not going to like transform yourself or kind of get this new quality that you want in yourself if you miss a few days. You need to stick to it every single day. At least 5 days a week. So consistency and persistence, those kind of go together. And what that will do is create an unstoppable momentum. And this kind of can go for like, this goes for really everything that you're trying to change, but especially when you're trying to take on new positive beliefs and new positive thoughts, whether or not this is exercising, okay? Have you ever just like gone to the gym for like 21 days straight, and by the end of it, like you realize that you can't even stop because you just have so much momentum? It's like that. So the cool thing is once you develop a certain amount of momentum, you create a habit, and that becomes embodied into you. So it's pretty baller. All right, this is kind of number 3, 4-ish. Willingness to leave comfort zone. This is like my favorite one. My fucking favorite. Because if you apply this one on a day-to-day basis and literally make like a 30-day challenge with it, and you demand that you're going to constantly leave your comfort zone on a day-to-day basis, I can tell you, buddy, that like your life will just explode. Whether or not, depending on what you're trying to do, but either way, if you leave your comfort zone every day, you will be so much more engaged with life. You know what this actually cures? When you're really like not looking forward to getting out of bed in the morning, right? So like if you're like exhausted and you're just like really tired, and you're like, oh, I don't want to get up today because of the same day-to-day routine that you're kind of doing because of habits, hint, hint, kind of coming full circle here. When you say, I'm going to do something that's going to scare me today, I'm going to do something that makes me massively uncomfortable, or I'm going to do something that's new, any one of those, at least do one of those each day. You will wake up with so much more energy and so much more fire in your belly if you just do something like that every day. Whether or not that's like fucking high-fiving a stranger, or, perfect example. I talked to my buddy Fez this morning, and something that he did was he went to a seminar. It was a business seminar that he went to, and just because this kind of made him uncomfortable, he did it, and I gave him massive props for that. He walked to the front of the room, and there was a ton of people in the audience. The speaker was on stage or whatever, and he, instead of like normally taking the route that he would take usually, which is behind everybody and behind the back to go find a seat because he came a little late, what he did instead was he walked in front of everybody and he looked out at the audience, kind of like staring on everybody kind of in the face, looking for a seat. And he was like, I was checking out some of the cute girls in the audience too. But I just love that. I love that he just like decided to do the scarier thing, you know? Because what happens is when you start leaving your comfort zone, you become more and more confident. You start to feel more and more unstoppable. All these like fears start to dissolve and they go away. And your comfort zone gets bigger and bigger and bigger to the point where you're just comfortable in every situation, which is pretty sweet. Alright, we're like 9 minutes in right now. Okay, so willingness to leave comfort zone is another one. Taking massive action. So this kind of goes back to like persistence and consistency. It's kind of a tie-in. But don't overindulge in like taking on too much knowledge, because what will happen then is kind of like an analysis by paralysis, right? So what you want to do is when you learn something new, go take action right then and there. Go, as soon as you learn something, go do it, okay? I promise it'll help. But yeah, just take massive, massive action. No matter like what it is that you're trying to get good at. So like, let's say that you want to get good at playing the violin. Find some time each week to play the violin, and then amp it up. But don't say, oh, I'm going to play the violin later, or like later in life. Just like set a system in place and follow that system. Even if it's only playing the violin once a week, who gives a shit? As long as you're committing to your system, you know what I mean? So taking massive action, that's another huge one. So I would say those are like the 5 keys to literally accomplishing anything in life. It's literally like the secret sauce. Now the motivation, that's a topic for another day. The motivation and the fear that you have to deal with, and procrastination, that's a topic for another day. I'm not going to be covering that right now. Decisiveness. Alright, so like when you think of a warrior, when you think of like, say, King Leonidas, I keep pointing the wrong direction, this guy. Decisiveness is so critical in so many aspects of life, because 90% of the population, if not more, they're very indecisive. And if they do make decisions, if at all, they change their decisions frequently because they're not sure of themselves. They're not self-assured. They're not sure if what they decided was the right decision. So something to do, an exercise that you can do to start becoming more decisive, is thinking about stuff that you have been thinking about, and asking yourself, making a decision on all of those things that you've been thinking about, and just making this decision, sticking to it, and not changing your mind. Go with that gut feeling, because that gut feeling is what, 87%. I think about a statistic. 87% of all CEOs make their decisions based off gut instincts first. So pretty cool. So yeah, decisiveness is a huge one. Honestly, if anybody's here to kind of learn how to get better with girls, if you're not decisive, it's one of the most unattractive traits. Ask any girl, man. If you're unsure of where you're going, that projects massive low self-esteem and almost like a timidity, you're not sure of yourself. So you might have to fake it until you make it. You might have to fake it till you make it, which it will happen. You just have to get used to making decisions. So if, say, a girl asks you, where do you want to sit? And you say, I don't know, where do you want to sit? She's going to be massively turned off. It's one of the most unattractive things you can do. Instead, be a leader and say, all right, we're going to go sit over here. And you're kind of flying by the seat of your pants, but you know what? Most people are kind of operating on a brain that is afraid of getting judged. A lot of people care what other people think about them all the time, which is, that will fucking kill you in life. If you care about what other people think about you, you are going to be stifled, you're going to be full of anxiety, you're going to be stuck up here all the time. Just drop that shit, man. Don't give a shit what other people think about you. Make decisions, live your life, have fun. And that's all I wanted to talk about in the opening of today. The rest of this video will be, we'll just do Q&A. We'll be hanging out. So on that note, I'm going to open up the chat, and we'll just chill and shoot the shit.